All right, you are now tuned in to the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I am here with Goose, Heck, Gabe, and Dylan. We cover topics that range from the music industry, collaborations, creative processes, effects of the coronavirus, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Plato and Confucius. Nice. All right, guys, if you're new, thank you for listening. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, Dylan Hale. Thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. This is really cool. I'm excited. I love the setup you guys really got going on here. It's awesome.
Absolutely. So we met through a mutual friend, Jason Peters. Jason Peters was featured on episode 208 titled Right Away. If you haven't had yet a chance to listen to that, give that bad boy a listen. That was about 10 episodes ago. This is episode 218. So let's jump right in. So Dylan, for those of us who do not know who you are and what you do, let us know.
All right. Well, my name is Dylan Hale. I've been playing music since I was a child, which is like 8 years old or something like that. Been playing drums. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. Playing drums. Guitar is my main instrument now. I've been learning keyboards. I sing. And audio engineering, producing, like we were just talking about. It's been a big part of my life. And, I came out with an album this year over the summer during COVID. The worst possible time to probably drop an album.
Yeah.
But, I've been working on it for the last year and a half, 2 years. And, it was time to get it out because I'm writing my next album, and we're moving forward here. So, just trying to get my name out there and get heard in a really hard industry to actually get heard in. It's so big.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always interested when someone says they get started around 8 or whatever age it is. How did you get started? Did you hear a song? Was there like a toy instrument laying around the house? You just picked it up? How did it actually work?
I had a friend who played bass, and him and his sister played piano. He played bass. I was 8, he was 10. He goes, well, let's make a rock band.
Nice.
That's the coolest thing. Like, let's make a rock band. And my buddy with other buddies was to learn guitar, and I played drums. He played bass. Oh, I got drums for Christmas, and my buddy, who was supposed to play guitar, didn't play. So, as me and him, started off, I got lessons, and then that was it, man. I just kept playing and playing and playing, and I've gotten lessons, 8 to 13, and then I started playing guitar, and from 13 till 16 or so I stopped. That's why I stopped taking lessons, because then you can kind of learn on your own. You build up the tools and everything like that. Just to make a rock band, that's like every kid's dream. It's like, I feel like, let's jam out. That's like the coolest thing. Band. And then you start learning about Jimi Hendrix, Zeppelin, and they get into all the classics right away, and it's like, whoa, this is cool. And then
just like.
No, that's awesome. So, did you play for, school or anything like that, or was just you just kept it to the side? It was just something you did on the side.
Yeah, when I was little, I did play in school, snare drum, little stuff. That was about it for 5th or 6th grade, something like that.
We all started off with the the little plastic recorder.
Yep.
And then you
go
from that thing.
The hot cross buns.
Yes. And then what did I go to? Saxophone. I did the alto sax, and we did the saxophone, and same thing was 5th or 6th grade. And I remember being so hyped because I was telling everyone I was going to be in a concert, and I was like, "We have a concert." I invited everybody, and not realizing we were just the opening act. I thought the concert was going to be just us, and we did 2 entire songs, and it was still under 1 minute, and and so. And my dad roasted me for that. Not for the fact that he was happy that I was playing an instrument, but he's like, you guys thought you did some grand thing. You played under a minute. It was hilarious, actually.
That sounds like something my dad would do.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was super playful, but it was funny. As we got older, he recorded it on the VHS and everything. He bust out the VHS. He's like, let's watch this. Believe me, it's only going to take a minute of your time. We'd listen to it, but anyway, so that was a big thing. But the thing that kind of deterred me away was so much structure, and it's kind of like what you say. It takes away, for me, it took away what I thought the creative process, and obviously they do that purposely because they want you to learn a specific way. But is that how you felt, that you just got creative and you could just do it on your own, or it was more like you didn't want to be a marching band?
I got into it more on my own. You got to learn. There is a right way. There's a right way to play guitar. There's a right way to play violin. Yeah. And I can have 10 people in front of me say, "No, that's not how I learned. I taught myself it is." Well, you might pick wrong. You might have wrong positioning with your hands. It's like there's like specific things that like, and that's really important to learn the good habits in the very early stages. But after so many months, or like almost a year, you get to the point where it's like, well, I can play 5 chords by myself. Nobody's here telling me what I got to play. Yeah. And then you start, that's when creativity really starts to happen. Once you get the tools in front of you, well, now you're use the tools. Yeah. Figure out what you want to do. And I've always been creative. God, I've been writing songs since, I don't know, 14 or 15. So wow. Yeah, I've just hit the point where I feel comfortable actually publishing my music, and that my writing is like considered, I feel, good enough on a professional level. Anything else I want to kind of improve on it would almost just take money. So that's like the hardest part about it.
So we've had artists on the show before, and I always mention this because I think it's important for the listeners to know, understand. When you're putting your music out, you're super vulnerable, right? Because that's like your baby, like that's your thing. And the second, even if you're going to get, people criticizing, that's going to come, it still hurts. It still stings. Like, I don't care what anybody says. It's like, yeah, you can build a callus over that after you release it, but still, it's like so personal to you. It's like, it's yours. It's your creation, and you're like protective of that. And I always I like to say that because some people are so harsh online. They're so harsh in critiquing. It's like, you got to understand what this guy's doing or what this female's doing. It's hard. It's not, even if you're naturally talented you're musically inclined, or you have a beautiful voice, whatever, it's hard to put out your own original music. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, that is like one of the hard. That's nobody talks about that too. And like, I really appreciate that because all my friends know I come out with an album or something like this. I spent 2 years. I wrote 30 songs. I released 10.
Wow.
I recorded 20. Wow. So the amount of time alone, and then like the amount of emotion into it. It's like, well, okay, obviously, my album right now is like it's focused on it's after going through a relationship, and it's going through past relationships too. It's It's about abuse, between people, all around, whether it be, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, all that kind of range. Yeah. It's kind of wrapped up into one, and the trials and tribulations of relationships you may have with people. And so I kind of tried to sum it all up into one nice package of it starts off hot with role play, and it's about roles in a relationship, and what roles does one person play or the other person play, and there's not really a boundary on either gender or sexuality in there. And I was trying to hit a middle ground the whole way with the whole album, whether it be that it can be relatable to everybody, because this really related to me.
Yeah, of course.
And that was the big thing. I wanted to just try and relate with as many people as possible, while also keeping it completely original and unique in a different way, which I kind of think I did. I don't know if you guys have heard the album, but it's a little weird at some spots. I say it's weird, but it's like I try to keep you interested.
Yeah, no, I heard portions of it. There is, from one track to another, it's a very different sound. Yeah, for sure. And so much creativity though, and that's one thing, like I said, that I appreciate, and like I feel like an obligation. I have to say that because I know it's not easy. Even Goose, when he first started cutting haircuts or giving haircuts, I mean, me and Heck, we were young, we were a little good, and we're kind of jacked up. He jacked up our hair in the beginning, right? But he had to try, he had to keep going. Yeah. And he's like telling people, like, I gave them their haircut. Meanwhile, we're walking home jacked up heads. You know what I mean? And then after a while, it became better and better and better. Yeah. And it was like a year or two passed, and we're getting like professional haircuts in our basement. But it was he got so good at it, and then all of a sudden you build off that. And you get prideful almost, and now you're proud of your work. And that's the part that hopefully every artist gets to achieve, and it looks like you're rolling into that now, because. Dude, he just said he wrote 30 songs, recorded 20, and he dropped 10. And
this is all for the intention of an album. It was like, because I've written hundreds of songs, but this was like specifically, I wanted to make an album. This is the goal. I had just gotten out of a relationship. I'm like, man, what am I doing with my life? I ain't doing nothing. Yeah. Like, I'm doing a lot, but like, I was like, man, I'm like, I got to do something with music, because like, that's all. I mean, imagine, I run a concrete company, so I spent a lot of time doing very hard work, like hard labor where I finish concrete, I do a lot of different stuff. And I would go home and I'd play music. That was my stress reliever. I'd go home and hang out and play music, and I'd play different instruments. I'd loop this, I'd loop that. I've shown probably 4 or 5 of my friends how to play drums.
Wow.
So like
that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How long is the process of it? Like from start to beginning, you said you did 30 songs. How long did it take you to just get one together?
One or
are you writing multiple at one time?
Oh yeah, I'm always writing. Like I probably got like 10 songs like right now, like because inspiration for one might not happen all at once. Another thing is like one song in the album, "My Idol," which I wrote about a friend who was really struggling with drug abuse, stuff like that. And it goes, "Tell you the truth, you were my," or "I heard that you were suicidal. Tell you the truth, you were my idol." And that's how the song starts. It's like really simple. That song took me 10 minutes to write. It's my favorite song on the whole album.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the deepest song actually on the whole album. It's really simple, but it's really clean. But that took 10 minutes. A couple of the songs of the album probably took me literally a year and a half to write.
Oh, wow.
And you go over all the parts, and there's the bridges or the choruses, and how do you really want it to sound? Or like I've made a whole song, and then I go, I don't like how I recorded it. I don't like this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to redo it, and you redo it, and and it comes down to the point, like, do you like it enough to keep working on it, or do you just abandon it and maybe use some parts of it later?
It becomes like a B-side or something.
It becomes a B-side, I'm really, really particular. So, like I said, I wrote 30 songs, and they picked 10, and, it was like a hard crunch, and I would pull it out to people. I'd, like, send it to, like, it probably showed 100 people before I even published it. And, like, what do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? I'd show old people, young people.
Nice.
I really try to get, like, to see who I can appeal to the most and make it. Because, like you said, you got to be proud. I want to be proud of the one at the end of the day. This is going to be online probably forever.
Right.
It's already out there forever at some point.
Right, yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't want my name or what I created to be out there forever and not be something I could stand behind.
Sure.
I want to feel proud of that forever.
Yeah. What any of the other songs you've written throughout the years, wherever you go back and like kind of put them out as like a part of an album or anything?
So yeah, there was songs I started writing while I was finishing up this album that like are coming on to my next album I'm working on, which is going to be more acoustic and more kind of natural. Like this whole album's called Popular, so it's all pop music. I try to keep it in pop chord progressions, pop, just flavor all around, and a lot of synths, a lot of little electric guitar, bass, synth drums. So the next thing is going to be more natural to kind of show more diversity in sound.
Okay.
So I'm like trying to play catch up. I should have been doing this like releasing music probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
While I was a little bit younger. So now I'm going to try and just like bust out an album a year for the next like 2, build up a nice portfolio.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is to get signed as a either a songwriter or something, signed as an artist. But I'd probably like to be signed as a songwriter versus an artist.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate goal. So build up a nice portfolio of good, well-written tracks. It's the hard part.
So do you part of your creative process? A lot of times there's musicians that you're going to come across that they either want to do a collab with you, they want you to be featured, or you want them to be featured moving forward. How are you with working with other? Do you kind of like talk the ideas out? Is it something? Because I'm always fascinated. Like, someone send X, Y, and Z a track, right? So like in the rap industry, you can kind of, and maybe it's not specifically just rap, but there's a topic that you can hit and everyone could just nail it, and you could kind of already have something on deck for it, right? Like a 16 on deck. But if you're talking about someone breaking your heart or X, Y, and Z, and something more slower, is that harder, do you think, or is it doesn't really matter? You just kind of go with it creatively.
Freestyling is like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like just freestyle like rapping. Like I will sometimes just for practice. I'm better at freestyling when I'm playing an instrument at the same time for some odd reason.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, the topic doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's more about how you use the topic. And, when someone just picks a topic and does, I don't know, any kind of rap topic, they can start talking about either smoking or doing something stupid or hanging out with my boys. Oh, I make this much money. Oh, I do that. Or,
right.
No one cares.
Yeah.
No one's gonna care about that. Like, what can you do like with that but make it interesting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I like to just shake things up a little bit where people will go, what'd he say? Like, you know, and it's like, I'm talking about the same thing somebody else would be talking about on the same track. Yeah. And I was writing this actually with another rapper. We're like, we're just, you know, I'll hang out with guys and we'll just like, yo, drop the track. Let's figure out what we can make, something stupid.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're talking about money. They're talking about women. They're talking about this. Or I do the same thing, but I make it, you know, you try to make it your own. And that's what makes like an artist in my eyes, like, so much better than someone that's not like, you gotta be creative. Nobody cares if you're not creative.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's several artists, mainstream artists that come to mind that every time they get featured, it's almost like they own it. Right. They own that track. It's not even theirs. They're just featured on it, but every time it's like, oh my gosh, I could just fast forward straight to their, you know, that feature because it's that good. So what is your creative process like? Do you know, some people obviously, well, inspiration can hit you at any moment, right? Yeah. But is there times where, you know, when you are just freestyling, you're just playing the guitar, just, you know, riffing, or is it just, you know, you're watching TV, all of a sudden you just run to the room and start recording something? Cause
that happens. Yeah. That, I mean, like, I have I mean, you walk in my house, like, I literally got, like, one room's, like, set up as, like, my studio, like, where I actually do recording. Then I got a whole other room where I got a drum set, an organ, amps, like. So at any moment, I feel like, and I got pens and paper kind of, like, everywhere. Yeah. So, like, I'm writing. That's awesome. Know, I'd be driving down the road, probably shouldn't be writing stuff, but I end up writing stuff. I'll be finishing concrete writing, you know, thinking of stuff in my head, because it's what you know, my brain's, you know, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just doing, so I can kind of start. My brain just goes, man. Yeah. So I just write, and it literally can happen at any time. Could be watching TV, could be, you know, I've literally got into a fight, like, with my girlfriend, and then I start writing a song and saying, I'm sorry. and, you know, it's like almost like the clutchest thing in the world. I mean, they go, oh, you know. It's like, you know, it works. Or, you know, if I ever play gigs at, like, any bars around town, or, you know, do some, you know, I'll make a song up while I'm there about somebody there, about, you know, and make fun of them, or you know, make fun of the room or something, you know, just to keep it playful. Yeah. Just try to stay more creative. The weirder you can make, not weird, but, you know, you said you were going to mention Confucius or, like, you know, Plato at the end of this, you know, one philosophy is, like, always answer a question with another question. Yes. And, like, it does not necessarily need to be even relevant to the first question. Right. You know, keep it just constantly creative. Yeah. Constantly.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the actual project. When did you release it? Obviously, during the pandemic, it's kind of harder to get gigs, and I'm assuming you want to talk a little bit about that, and, you know, where you are, where you want to be with it.
I came out with it on, I think, July. It was either July 1st or the 4th. It was that Friday. Yeah. That week. And well, it was great in terms of everybody, like, that I knew or follows that was around me. They got on Spotify. I got on a couple playlists, so immediately started getting, you know, listens on there and streams, which is really cool. But otherwise, I feel like it's like I almost have to do another, like, a re-release of the same thing, because once this all kind of goes by on social, like, you can't release something on social media when there's, like, 5 other more important topics than my album. I'm going to self-admit, COVID's more important, Black Lives Matter more important. You know, things going on online that are like, so I'm hitting on I just go under the radar. That's what happens. And playing gigs is just non-existent. Yeah. You know, I got a couple offers to play a couple places. I just turned it down. I played one in Philly. That was for the radio station because they were cool. 98.7, I think. Yeah. Uptown Radio. Uptown Radio is the name. I don't know if the number's right.
Shout out to Uptown Radio.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah. So it's nobody's playing gigs. Nobody's doing that. They just, like, I know only a couple people have just started playing, like, bars around town, and, you know, the gig economy's dead. Like, nobody's making money. Yeah. If that's, like, all you do, you're, like, killed right now.
I was just driving here, and when I turned the radio on, which is very rare, but when I turned the radio on, I missed the artist's name, so I don't know who it was. It was a female artist, and she was literally talking about, you know, I miss my fans. I haven't had a concert since March. We're doing this virtual concert, and it's featured in 5 cities, but she's going to be doing it out of, like, the same location, which is kind of strange. But you could tell she was, like, not feeling it. Like, it was cool that you got a gig, but it's not the same as you performing for an actual crowd.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Production value these days is like crazy. If you were like signed and you have a lot of money backing you, like the production value, like you're almost not even playing a gig, in my opinion, half the time, because most artists don't play instruments while they perform. Or,
sure.
I mean, like certain bands or certain acts do, but like even like, I don't know, Tame Impala, for example. I see Tame Impala live. I was like, this is terrible. Because I'm like watching, like, all right, here's Kevin Parker, cool and stuugh, but then he's got all studio musicians hired. And I know they're studio musicians. I'm watching them. I'm like, these guys are like brain dead. They're like, this is so easy. So, watching virtual concerts now, it's like, it's really cool because they're still trying to connect with everybody, making do with what we got, but it's nowhere near the same. It's just making a more produced event because, like, there's no flair for, like, there's not going to be a problem on a virtual concert. Right. It's been planned out. Yeah. There's people around you. There's a whole production team. There's no problems that could happen. You're going to go to a gig. Sometimes accidents happen, and then you know what happens with that accident? The artist sometimes takes that moment and then goes upon it. Like, say the amps don't work. Well, now only the artist mic starts working. So maybe that artist sings a song by themselves and it's a cappella and it's really nice and it's something you'll never see again because it probably won't happen for the next 100 gigs that person has.
Yeah.
Virtual, it's so, I don't know how to put it. It's like pumping out a concert out of a factory, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, all of us, when we do, these virtual meetings, even the meeting for businesses, it's odd because sometimes reading the room is a very important thing throughout the deal.
Yeah.
Or having a conversation and looking at their body language is totally different than they could be reading off of like a chalkboard or something, and it's not really, they don't really know the information, they're not really into it. You could get all those vibes off it, but would you consider maybe doing like a deluxe album, grabbing 10 of the songs that you didn't do and refine 3 of them and throw them on, and then then you can re-release something maybe?
I'm working on a small EP right now that takes 1 or 2 of those songs on the current album, does an acoustic version of them, and then covering another artist or 2 and maybe putting out a couple more originals. Probably not the ones that I passed and on the album, moved on. Whatever I am keeping, I already have like stockpiled away for like singles and stuff, but majority of it, no, it's out the window.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I kind of keep going back to kind of stuff like that, then I'm limited on creating something new.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I think that was the best stuff I ever made, well, I mean, is that really the best I ever did? Like, I'm probably going to do better tomorrow. I could do better tomorrow or the next day.
Sure.
So you kind of focus on always improving and always, being better. And once something's good, I go, well, that's good. I'm keeping it. Otherwise, get rid of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got whole tracks that are just produced that just leave there until the moment comes up where I'm also looking for certain artists to actually sing and perform on my stuff. It's been really hard to network these days. Like, you can network online. It's like, yeah, we'll meet up. And it's like, it kind of doesn't happen because there's no events happening. And there's everything's underground. Like, if you go to Philly, it's like, there's underground events happening.
Yeah.
But it's also not that great.
Yeah.
It's so.
So when, one thing that I've always found fascinating is when someone covers another band, a musician or whatever, and they sound just like them, right? And then you have the guy who kind of puts their own little flavor into it, which is also cool. But I was always curious, is it possible to kind of stay stuck there too and stay stuck in someone else's style, and that's kind of a dangerous zone to also be in? And what's your thoughts on that? Because I know people who do cover and then they stay stuck. They're just cover artists now, and it was like, oh man, and they have beautiful voices and they're talented.
I got no problem with cover artists. If you want to make money gigging locally, you got to be a cover artist almost.
Gotcha.
It's a real life. You're just not gonna. The odds of me even getting any money from the music I've made, I mean, are slim to none. Like in reality. So like, people that really want to play music for a living, you learn covers. Like, I learn covers.
Gotcha.
So when I go to places, I play covers because people like covers.
Yeah.
I don't like to make them, getting stuck is a real problem for any musician.
Yeah.
You get stuck in either, like, I've gotten stuck in certain ways I'm writing, I've gotten stuck in certain ways I'm playing, and it's like, you need to break that, like, that mentality, and you have to being aware of being stuck is important.
Yeah.
Getting stuck is very real.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's about, you got to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And most people aren't aware of themselves most of the time anyway, so it's like,
So what's your biggest pet peeve with the music industry?
overall.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of small artists, especially today with technology the way it is. You can make, I mean, there's people making tracks on laptops that are amazing.
Yeah.
And they don't get exposed ever, or if not till years later. And there's 4 major record labels.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Right.
So you got your major record labels, and that's what 90% of the people are going to listen to. And then you have smaller record labels, which like the other like 10% listen to. And then you have like really small people who are independent entirely that can make fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
That don't even ever get picked up.
Yeah.
So I wish more smaller artists were featured all around. Or like even like radio stations, like they say they're like playing a local artist, but like you go on like their like the artist page, it's like, no, dude, this guy isn't that local. They got 250,000 followers. They got this. Like they're doing fine. Like look at that guy in the street that's like singing and playing outside, like busking, like
right.
And that's like. And nobody realized that, like, these people have real lives, too. Like, they aren't making money from their music, so they got to go out and make money.
Yeah.
So they can't put out the same, I don't even know how to put it. There's just a lot, money's the big problem. Yeah. Money's the problem with everything, I find.
Yeah.
But I wish more independent artists were getting featured more.
Yeah, for sure. What about, what's your take on on all the shows that are out, trying to, quote, discover, artists or whatever it is, whether it's their singing talent or what have you. What's your take on them? Do you watch them? They're not your thing, or just kind of whatever?
I don't watch them. My dad watches like American Idol.
Yeah.
He's always told me to go on American Idol.
Yeah.
I thought about just doing it,
yeah,
just to see what would happen.
Right.
But it's not for me. It's more for him to make it, because he's told me all my whole life, go on American Idol.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like there was one girl, like she was local, like from around here.
Okay.
She was on American Idol like 2 years ago or something. She went to Chamonix.
Okay.
It was like really, like that's awesome. Like how does that, certain people are getting opportunities that could never happen. Also, it's so commercialized that I hate the over commercialization of it.
Yeah.
The artist side of me is like, well, this is kind of lame.
Yeah.
It's cool. It gives people different opportunities. Like we wouldn't have Kelly Clarkson without American Idol.
Sure.
Yeah. And I kind of even like Kelly Clarkson, so it's like
absolutely.
But it's still commercialized. It's a lot of it's all right.
Yeah.
I'd go on American Idol if I had the chance. I'd do it. If that's what you're asking, I'd do it.
Yeah, that American Idol, pick
absolutely.
Let them get on.
You know what? Why not? Right?
Why not? Exactly. It's only free exposure. Like if I was on it, I'd be all about it. Do I watch it? No. Do I vote? No. I'd be on it though.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I think they're cool because they do give opportunity to people who maybe would have never gotten that exposure.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with American Idol or these other ones, because a lot of it is judged on appearance and look or whatever. You get people who don't have like whatever the standard is supposed to be or what people think it's supposed to be, and they have the opportunity. So I do think that those things are cool. But yeah, man, I think you should give it a whirl.
Damn.
So what's your take on getting a record label deal versus the independent way? Because we know people who are obviously super successful both ways and people who kind of got screwed both ways. So explain what your take is and what route you would like to go.
Most importantly, is owning your masters.
Yeah.
So whatever way it would take me, because if I'm getting. Even if a record label were to just say be interested in me, well, obviously I'm generating some kind of buzz.
Sure.
Yeah. So then you can go and say, well, how much does it cost for me to actually upfront a whole record label's startup cost? Because even me starting a record label right now, like I'm under my own label, but it's not like nothing major because I'm not even generating enough income to be claiming stuff on taxes. Like, so exactly. Until it's like an actual entity, it wouldn't matter. Owning your masters, Prince said it, is like the most number one thing. So if I don't own my music that I've made, then I don't want the deal. Yeah. Or at least most of the rights to it, however that would work. If it was in a commercial, I at least want to get paid for that, or along those lines or something. So I'm more for the independent stuff. The more independent you can be, like independent labels can also work with bigger labels, which is really cool. So like bigger labels can work on with this distribution and other ends of it that you're not like booking or some other stuff, while the independent end, like that's where you're owning your masters. You might be in charge of the recording process, or you're half in charge of it. Everything's kind of you have more responsibility in the business realm of making sure everything's happening.
But they handle the stuff on the back end of it.
Right. You work to get, like, it happens all the time. Artists will have record labels of their own because they were signed by big labels, and then they don't want to be signed by big labels, or they get dropped because they weren't selling enough, and then they change their image, and then they make their own label, then they get signed with a medium-sized label that handles the ins and outs of the big stuff, money stuff.
That's awesome. So is a Christmas album coming, or?
We've been working on the Christmas album. It's been happening. Jason told you about that. Why would Jason tell you about that? He shouldn't have told you about that. We made a Thanksgiving song, and it's called "The Turkey's Not Dry If You Don't Cook It Right," or if you cook turkey's not dry if you cook it right. I hate my stupid kids and my big fat wife. And that's the first lines of it.
Sounds family friendly.
It's family friendly. It's like family friendly, like bringing back like all of the family, or like one of the old shows. Like it's weird. I don't even know how it happened. I go, Jason, I really want to make a Christmas album. He goes, Joe, I've always wanted to make a Christmas album. And then it's like, really? Let's do it. I get on the keyboard. We go. Dun, 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 dun.
He comes sliding in with his socks.
I'm not even lying. He was more excited about me. He wrote out the whole thing. He's like, look, I got it now. Here's the chorus you wrote. And it's like, we've been working on it. And then we started writing this Christmas rap song. And then it's like, all right, but we really got to have a serious Christmas song. Like one that's going to possibly make people cry. And I'm like, what about how grandma's not here for this Christmas? And it's like, I was like, I want to make people cry like that little boy who's like, I want to buy shoes for my mom. That's, that song's a tearjerker, man.
Yeah.
You know that song. You hear it every year. It's like, man, this poor kid. It's like, so we were like, well, what criteria? We need a funny one. We need a rap one, because why not? We need a dead serious one.
Yeah.
And we need like another Christmas one. We're like talking about doing one where like it's all about buying stuff. Like, even though you don't need it. It's like, yeah, it's fun. Like I don't even know if it's gonna happen this year. It doesn't seem like it's gonna happen this year. But for next year, it's probably gonna happen.
That is the gift.
Yeah. But another big thing is like I tell people all the time is like I'll make tracks that'll be terrible. I made so many bad tracks, and like, why would you even make this? I'm like, well, I was already in the middle of it. I'm not going to not make it. I already started, and it's better to
I thought it was good.
That's another thing. It's like, really, man, you don't like it? I worked hard on this. And it's like,
no, you suck. It's like, no, I knew it was bad. I just kept going.
Friends are the worst. Friends are the worst. They really are. So making anything creative in my eyes is a positive. That's positive. As long as you made something good. You made something that wasn't here yesterday. So
nice.
You own it.
That's very true. So with all the technology that's out now, do you think, is creating music getting more diluted and the numbers are higher because of that and technology, or you don't think that? Or what's your take on that?
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it's totally diluted. I mean, most people can't even play, and they're producing, and it's like, how you're producing. Well, I got this software that tells me, okay, well, we can put these chords together. Okay, great. And then it's like, okay, well, it gives you all these voicings too. So it's like, wow, you're like a famous jazz player, and like you don't even play keyboards. It's amazing. Good job. Talent. It's crazy. The way I try to set myself apart from all that kind of stuff is I want to do something different. So I'm not going to make it exactly like everybody else. Even like if somebody else is dropping hot stuff, it's great, But what are you really making? How much do you know behind what you're doing? So I try to take that and take my stuff to the next level. Like I can producing wise, like I like to manipulate my voice a lot.
Yeah.
Not in the sense where like it's not my real voice, but like one track I'll use distortion of my voice, like Kanye West. Kanye West is a fantastic, whether you like him or not, producing wise, fantastic. He also uses the human voice more than any other instrument. Yeah. And how he does that is like super crazy cool.
Yeah.
So I try and focus on different ways, to highlight that I know what I'm doing, or know how to manipulate sound, or know how to play instruments like with technique, and you can hear different kinds of things by actually playing an instrument versus not actually playing the instrument, and being computer generated versus not being computer generated. I'm like a big fan of synths and big fan of synth drums, synth everything, but when you have literally a program that can, okay, well, you put these chords together, great. And then it can make these voicings, and it changes them a little bit, but it makes it sound like you've been playing for like 20 years, and it makes it diluted. The diluted is the word. That's like, there's no other word.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's just crazy.
So how do you before we get into this, the next topic, can you explain to people, what they can expect from you, or if a record label is listening now, like, what are they going to get from you, and also your album Popular?
Something that's it's something I've dedicated my entire life to doing, literally. The album itself, I dedicated 2 years to making something. Like, I wanted to make a cohesive album that sounded like an album. I know plenty of people have made albums, but it's not you listen to Dark Side of the Moon. You listen to Dark Side of the Moon from track 1 to the end of the track, or you listen to Frank Ocean, Channel Orange. I've listened to that whole album right through, all time. Daft Punk, Random Access Memories, another recent but classic album.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make something that was 1 through 10. This is a cohesive project. This is a complete album. So that's what I wanted. And, I wanted to be professional. As professional as I could make it on my level.
Yeah.
And that took more work and, and everything, because I didn't have a big studio to go behind. I didn't have $1 million like a record label would have.
Yeah.
If I had all that, I'd do a lot of different stuff. But
of course,
I had to make do with what I had.
That's a big thing too. When people say, it's interesting that you say that, and that you put pride in that. When someone makes an album, they call it a no skip album. You can literally listen to every single song. Not one bothers you. You just keep it moving. You're like, wow, you're driving, you're going somewhere. I just listened to the whole album, nonstop. Literally,
and
I didn't
flowed.
skip. Yes,
that's the whole thing.
And the quality, it's they have some artists come out with that one single, then maybe a second song that was okay, we're letting that slide just because your first one was so good, and then the rest of the album's trash. It was what was that?
Yeah.
That's so hard to do. So then when someone comes out with something really good, then the follow up is just as strong, and then the rest of the album's this guy has a real project.
It's hard to do today. If you look at the Beatles, they were busting out an album twice a year.
Yeah.
So it comes how much work you putting in.
Yeah.
In reality, and I feel local artists, not many put the work in. I don't even put enough work in as what I should be doing, but I would be putting more work in if COVID wasn't happening right now. So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So it's you got to put that work in to make a cohesive project.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
to continue to make them, and not one track's good and the whole album's trash.
Yeah,
you see that all the time, and it's why'd you even make an album? Just release a single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So how do you manage, work life? So you said you do concrete, and then you said you're thinking about music all day long, and you come home and you do your thing. How do you manage that without, kind of crossing, each other, or is it kind of, all one and the same?
It has to be all one and the same.
Yeah.
I try to keep them separate as much as I can. The wintertime, I'm a season. It's seasonal work.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm running a business. I'm working 60 hours a week every week, easy.
Yeah.
Then I got school on top of 20 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm my week is really filled up right now. So music takes it down. I try and play regularly. That's number one, to keep up the chops.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
You don't use it, you lose it, and that is the truest thing when it comes to music. If I don't play guitar for a week at a time, I'm 2 weeks behind now.
Yeah.
And you have to play every day, every other, keep it consistent. But in the wintertime is when I really spend a lot more time producing.
Nice.
So I start, the weather's colder, I can't pour concrete, so I had a lot of days off. And with my time off, I'm in the studio. And then you spend 6-8 hours at a time, at a clip, just keep going and keep going.
Nice.
It takes a while to, obviously you guys know, you record this stuff all the time, I'm sure the editing process alone is going to take, just for this, it's going to take hours.
Absolutely.
Hours. Hours on hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to just find time. And I know when my time is going to be coming, so I kind of just take advantage of it then, Also, if it becomes really important, I want to get it done, I start, everything else, all my free time goes away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if folks want to reach out to you or get, connect with you, how can they do? Are you on social media? Well, I know you're on social media, but let us know your handles, websites, whatever.
Dylan Hale Music. That's pretty much everything. Dylan Hale Music on Instagram, Facebook, my Twitter, across the board.
Yeah.
Or Dylan Hale. That do my phone number too.
All right. So let's just say the 15, 16-year-old you is listening right now. What would you recommend to him, her, someone getting started or who would like to take their music more serious?
Just do it. just start doing it now.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you want to do something, anything. I mean, anything. Because I'm doing things now that I wanted to do my entire life that I regret not doing then. And I don't regret it. It's just, if you want to do something, do it. Don't talk about doing it. Don't ask people about doing it. Just because your friends aren't doing it, you should just do it. Just go out and, like, literally, like Nike says, you know, you don't start playing music if you don't start grabbing a guitar or grabbing a piano, or, you know, and doing it. You don't start recording music unless you start getting into it, you know. And because there's a learning curve. You got to learn how to do it. You're not even going to be able to make something for a time. So, you know, just get out there and start doing whatever you really want to do. Yeah. You know, follow your dreams. I like truly believe that kind of stuff. Like follow your heart, you follow your dreams. It's like so corny. They tell you like you're 5. They tell you when you're like 5, but you know what? That's like the happiest time of your life. Yeah, you know. So you should try believing in what you do, because if you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to be successful. In whatever you do. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Any parting words outside of those that you want to share with the world?
My single Role Play is out. My single Hey is out. That's on YouTube. You can check out the music video for that. Otherwise, it's, you know, just Dylan Hale music, man. Check it out. You know, I'm like, trying to get more people to listen to it. Check it out, because I've heard good reviews. I'm getting a lot of streams on it on Spotify. So, you know, just want to try and get it out there more.
Absolutely. Dylan Hale, go download that, stream it, whatever you got to do. Check out the videos, which I did. Very well produced, by the way.
Thank you.
Very creative, too. I like that.
Jason was the director, producer. That was his, yeah.
And you know what? You know what's funny? We always talk about sometimes. Have you ever like listened to a song before the video's out and you had this thing imagined in your head and you're like, oh my God, I love that. And then the music video comes out and he's like, that is not at all what I thought. It's like the complete opposite, right? And like that's got to be the worst. But I listened to the track previously and then I saw the video. And the video complemented it so well that it enhanced the experience. I'm like, whoa, that was like a good result, right? Yeah. And it was like even better. It was like, wow, you fell in love with the track even more. So
thank you.
So well done. Yeah, guys, please go check him out. Dylan Hale. Everything he does so far, from what I see, was fantastic. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're looking to get some more videos out. We've been kind of, Jason's my manager with all this, and you know, the thing right now, we've just been waiting for the right time to strike right now to release the right kind of material. And because, like I said, I flew right under the radar when I kind of made a debut, which is like the worst time in the world to make a debut. But, you know, we're out here now, so we're just going to try to keep making stuff and, you know, put out more content this winter, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, so there you have it, folks. We like to close things out with quotes, and the first one is by Plato. Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. And the second quote is by Confucius. Music produces a kind of pleasure which human nature cannot do without. Press play. In this episode, the crew welcomes special guest Dylan Hale. We cover topics that range from the music industry, collaborations, creative processes, effects of the coronavirus, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Plato and Confucius. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.